Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. Fuck ice. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty. Today I'm going to review Terminal, and this is one that I was looking forward to giving a read. It's Kirkman, who has in the past done some interesting things, but he's also not necessarily a writer that I'm absolutely going to jump on with. I feel like sometimes he's trying to appeal to a comic reader market that I don't fall into quite so much. But always happy to give it a go, and I thought, yeah, okay, let's see what happens. Got Casey involved and Kubert on the artwork, and honestly, that was a weird one for me because Kubert's kind of like comic book royalty at this point, and I feel like I'm about to say something that would get me kicked out of the Cool Kids Club, but I just think Kubert's good. Like, he is. I'm not going to deny that. He's clearly a talented man, but his style doesn't really appeal to me that much. I can look at him and be like, yes, brilliant. He's really good at some of the things he does. Don't get me wrong. His individual character and costume design in this particular issue is top notch. I really, really like how he sets up some of his framing. He uses very cinematic angles, which I quite like. He does do pretty good combat sequences as well. There's nice dynamism. Not quite as good as some people I've seen recently. There's a bit where he does that little trick of having one character multiple places in a single panel to show movement. But honestly, for a second, I was like, wait, who's that in the background? Because it wasn't quite so 100% clear exactly that that's what he was trying to do. There wasn't quite that nice narrative flow of movement that gave the impression of dynamism. It just like there was a few people in frame. But like I say, not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but not a writer, no, sorry, not an artist whose name makes me go, oh cool, I can't wait to read this next thing. Much is the case, I think, across the board for this one. There's nobody bad involved, but nobody that makes me sit up and pay attention. The actual story is pretty good. It reminds me very much of early 2000s Image kind of things. I mean, it is a Skybound book. It feels like it is. It knows its audience, knows what it's going for. It is the story of people who technically being grabbed from their normal everyday lives and being given superpowers because there is some big, all-encompassing threats. There is people on either side where one of them is freeing humanity, one is enslaving humanity, and how people respond to this is kind of like the point of the story. And I don't mind that. Like I say, it feels like it's not the first time I've read this. I think, JMS actually did something like this back in the day, which was fine and interesting. And again, don't really mind it. Mark Miller has done similar kinds of things. Not treading any new ground, but at least doing something a little bit interesting with it. And this is going to be some kind of mild spoiler. If you're not read the comic book and you want to go in spoiler free, please stop this review right now because I'm going to tell you something which is going to be instrumental to the story. And that is that one of the primary focus characters that we follow throughout most of what we see in this first issue doesn't make it to the end of the comic book. That is big and brave and bold, and I'm not going to criticize for taking a big swing like that. However, if I am going to criticize, I'm going to say it really makes it hard to care about what happens in the next issue. Like, I don't think there was enough time spent with some of the other characters, and there are quite a few of them. I mean, maybe that might be the problem. Like, we're going in and meeting like a multiple layered cast of characters, protagonists and antagonists. We have people in charge, people calling the shots, intergalactic, multi-dimensional space entities. Like, there's a lot going on in this issue, but it feels like when we get to the end of it, I was like, oh, but what now? And not an interesting, oh my god, what now way? It's like, oh yeah, but now. Kind of a bit of a letdown. Not the end of the world. If I'm going to be honest, some of my bigger issues with this one are kind of on me. I try my best to keep my biases out of reviews. I do. Like, there's things I like, things I don't. I'm a very political person, and I will get this out when I can, but usually not in terms of how well the comic's put together. But in this case, I did see something which was very much a me problem, which is when we started seeing the first of the bad guys, shall we say, of the comic book. They all look messed up, either ugly or having physical disabilities or critical injuries that are very, very obvious and off-putting. And when we see the good guys, they're all, mostly at least, very, very attractive people. The exception to this is the guy who kind of like the tech billionaire leading the good guys, who is also disfigured slightly. But honestly, here's my bias thing for this. It makes me feel like if this is something that they had set out to do, if this is a choice made in terms of the aesthetic of the comic book, that we were going to have a way that these people presented to the world, having a tech bro billionaire in charge of the good guys, but having this disfigurement, it just really leads it into like, well, of course he's going to end up be double crossing people. He's got his own motivations, and he's obviously going to be a bad guy. And it feels like the fact that I am also not going to trust Tech Pro Billionaire. It feels like, right, okay, is it just me who's seeing this? Is it me who's writing all this in my head before it's even got there, or is it bad writing and it's just kind of obvious? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. That's it from me for now, though. Until I see you all again, we'll catch you soon, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.